Ready, give it to go. Terrence, you first. Accio. Good. Bailey.
Accio.
Very good. Luke.
Accio.
Wonderful. Now Gretchen.
Accio.
Excellent. Now all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Accio Hogwarts Radio.
This is Hogwarts Radio, episode 236 for March 3rd, 2019. Hogwarts Radio is the official podcast for wizarding news from HPA&A, discussing all things Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and the rest of the wizarding world. For the quickest up-to-date news on the franchise, make sure you check out wizarding.news. Hello everyone, and this is Hogwarts Radio, broadcasting to Harry Potter fans worldwide since 2008. I'm Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Luke Hogan.
I'm Gretchen Rush.
And I'm Tyler Stark.
Our show can be found virtually anywhere online, such as iTunes, the Google Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Radio Public, and other places where podcasts are aggregated.
It doesn't matter where or how you listen, just make sure to tap the subscribe button, and we guarantee you'll have a new episode each Sunday.
We also invite you to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so you never miss an update from the show.
Don't forget, Hogwarts Radio is also on Patreon. By pledging, you'll have instant access to many benefits, including Into the Common Room, behind-the-scenes planning of the show, Hogshead Radio, and much more. Sign up today over at patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio. Welcome to episode 236. We're excited to be podcasting this week. There's been a lot going on, so we're going to talk about all that here in just a bit. But we wanted to start the show this week with an update, J.K. Rowling update, to be exact. Now, earlier last week, we received exclusive confirmation that J.K. Rowling has returned to writing. And a few days ago, we have in fact learned that she has, I'm doing air quotes here, unexpectedly returned to the Fantastic Beasts 3 script. Thoughts? Emotional outbursts?
I just want to say I did call this the last time I was here. If I could just a little something off my shoulder here. But yeah, I mean, the last time I was here, I was like, I knew that this was why, the script for this movie was done before Fantastic Beasts 2 was even out. And then after the reception, they made Jo go back. So hopefully this is good things, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Did they make her go back? Or do you think because of all the criticism it received that she just decided to return to it?
I think that could be a factor. The nice thing about this is that unlike with other productions where they've already maybe written the next episode or the next movie and shot it by the time the previous one airs, she gets the chance to see and hear the feedback from the second one. And then she can take that feedback and say, oh, you know what? The fans have a lot of valid points. I think she cares what people think. She's not trying to upset anyone. So I think she has the nice advantage here of looking at the reception for the second one, looking at what people were confused or upset about and saying, okay, why don't I go back to the third one, take a closer look, maybe twerk a few things, go a little deeper into things that people were curious about. And she can really, and now that they've pushed the production, she can do what she wants. She can twerk with it.
She can twerk with it.
I love that.
Twerk with it. Come on, Jo. Twerk with it.
Now I'm just imagining J.K. Rowling twerking all over the Fantastic Beasts 3 script. I just can't get that image out of my head.
Thanks, I heard it. I'm so stressed now.
Yeah, I mean, I think whether they're forcing her to go back or she's choosing to do it on her own, it can't hurt to just go back over it and take a look and make sure that everything makes sense and it's going the way that she wants it to and that no small details are left out.
Yeah, I mean, I've clearly been a pretty big fan of the second movie, but I have no problems with there being critical feedback that influences the series moving on. If in her heart she feels that it does make it better, I don't want it to be fan servicey, just changing something just to make it better to the fans. I still want it to be the story that she wants to tell. If there's certain twerks that she wants to make, then I'm okay with it. I want the story to be good, and I trust her.
I mean, it's easy to be caught up in all the details, right? We, aside from J.K. Rowling, we are the subject matter experts. The fandom is. The fans are. And that's partly due to all the details that she provided and is continuing to provide in this entire universe. So, I'm glad that she's taking the time to go out and revisit and kind of tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. I even in that interview from the Warner Brothers CEO, he said the fans really know the lore, and the challenge that they are having with this series is pleasing the super fans, but making it its own standalone for your more common, I hate to use the word common, but your average moviegoer. So I think that's a really tricky balance when you have people like us who know every little detail and can call it out in the theater when something seems amiss. So my hat's off to them, and hopefully Joe can pull it together.
In a recent interview, Dan Fogler said that Fantastic Beasts 3 will be bigger than Fantastic Beasts 2. What do you guys think he meant by that?
It's a very generic term.
Yeah, longer, 5 hours long.
I mean, it could mean the film is going to be longer. It could mean that the places we go, we're going to see more. It could mean that the implications for the plot are bigger. It could honestly mean anything.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It could just mean, hey, we are already pretty sure that they're going intercontinentally, right? And so budgets are going to be much bigger, is also probably pretty applicable. And yeah, I think the big thing that I keep taking away from the second movie is the plot is continually thickening, right? It's just getting bigger and more complex. And so I'm with you, Bailey. It can actually believe it, which is how the second movie set it up to be.
Yeah, I mean, Joe said that the third movie is the one that gives all the answers that fans have about, coming out of the second one. So it could be an indication of like, okay, there's a lot more information or a lot more answers that are given. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Well, with each new question that's answered, with each new answer given, there's like 100 new questions that kind of stem off of that, I'm sure. And that's the way this universe has gone for a very long time. So while we may get answers in the third one about the second movie and more about identities and where the story is going, we're just going to get a slew of new questions that we're going to have to learn how to deal with.
Good storytelling it is.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was a wonderful kickoff. Nice, something to get the wheels turning a little bit. And before we get to the news, Tyler, do you have a Protego Foundation update for us?
I sure do. So the Protego Foundation has partnered with the Potterhead Running Club, formerly known as the Hogwarts Running Club, on their Armchair to 5K race. So the proceeds from this Slughorn-themed race will actually be split between the Protego Foundation and two other Harry Potter-inspired nonprofits. So be sure to go check that out, Potterhead Running Club.
Very cool. And I think that these folks I've met before, the people that run these, if they were the same ones that were at MuggleNet Live a couple of years ago, had the opportunity to speak with them, and what they're doing is awesome.
And I love the way that they've kind of crafted it around charity. Like $21 out of the $25 fee goes to the charities that they've partnered with. So I already signed up for this one. I've been meaning to do one of their runs forever, but I was always like, well, I don't know. But this one's hysterical. I love the Armchair to 5K thing because that's so funny as someone who's done the Couch to 5K program and a Harry Potter fan. And I mean, you got to support the Protego Foundation, right?
Okay, Gretchen, what is in the news this week?
We've got some pretty cool stuff this week. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was this awesome sneak peek at the new, I cannot remember the name, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Does that sound right? That sounds right. Tyler's nodding. Right. That lengthy name. Midway Mayhem posted a video on YouTube that's a little sneak peek, and it's really cool. It shows the track and the carts that you'll get to ride in, and of course they look like motorbikes, and it looks like you will be able to sit either in the bike or in the sidecar. They had dummies both on the bike and in a sidecar. So that looked really cool, and it just showed a little bit of footage of them doing test runs of the ride. I think so far it looks pretty cool. Did you guys get a chance to watch this? What did you think?
I did, and this is pretty neat. The coaster itself doesn't seem that intense. I know I had mentioned earlier, like I kind of wanted it like the ride at Gringotts, where it kind of tilt-a-whirl while you're going up and down this roller coaster track. The footage that we saw here, it's kind of like the Flight of the Hippogriff coaster a little bit. That's what it reminded me of. At least the track.
I can't remember if I rode that ride. So
Yeah,
that
me
doesn't help.
neither.
Right? Yeah, Luke knows.
It's minimal. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, you have like all these turns and stuff like that, but at the same time, they're not sharp turns. You know, I don't think there's going to be like really any sudden stops or anything like that. You're just gonna it's just a basic ride. I feel it's not going to be anything too intense.
I'm hoping that's not the case because I mean it's replacing the Dragon Challenge, which was the thrill ride of that section of the park. So I feel like they should at least try to replace it with something that has the same caliber of a thrill level.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Bailey was saying. The Orlando people were already so upset that Dragon Challenge was taken out. And they were even upset when it was rethemed to Harry Potter because it was such an iconic ride that if you replace it with, based on the footage, it looks so slow. It's exactly like Flight of the Hippogriff where you're just basically rolling down a hill.
Yeah.
I know that there's going to be like some really intense theming, but man, if it's going that slow, people are going to be disappointed.
I'm sure they're putting more stock into like the imagery and the scenery and the experience than the actual movement of the ride.
The environment's clearly a big thing. I mean, but at the same time, I never rode the dueling dragons or whatever they ended up calling it later on or what it was before. But the clips that we get, it's pretty limited. I mean, I just clipped through the video. It's like two little corners that you see. You see where it starts going in reverse and one slow corner. There could be 1,000 other parts to this ride that are way more exciting. Like it's so limited. It's such a teaser preview. I would be surprised, but I mean, I can see it going either way. But I'm kind of with Tyler and Bailey that you kind of need to meet the same level of excitement. If that's going to be the only thrill-ish ride in the park, you can't just take that away because everything else in the entire park is so environment built as opposed to, okay, you're still going to an amusement park. Like you still have to have that as an option in the park. So that's my feeling on it, at least.
Well, and there's no point in having a ride that's just like Flight of the Hippogriff right next to Flight of the Hippogriff. You could just go ride that.
Dueling hippogriffs.
Now, since they have this ride in Orlando, are we just thinking ahead? Because everything they like to do, with the exception of Diagon Alley, everything they like to change in Orlando, they like to change in Los Angeles. So could we possibly see this coming to Los Angeles?
No.
Space-wise, I doubt it.
The space, so that main walkway where it would go, that's like the main way to actually like get into Universal Studios Hollywood. So there's literally nowhere that could go. Plus, they just actually integrated technology from Universal Studios Osaka in that area in one of the new interactive spells. So I don't think that they would use that cost to just for a limited time and then replace it with an expensive ride that would get in the way and completely throw off the flow for the entire park.
They'll probably replace the classic Universal tour in general, right? I mean, that's probably
yeah, just get rid of the entire studio and the back lot and just put in all Harry Potter.
I mean, if I had a vote.
Oh my god. Or just make a completely separate Wizarding World theme park. That'd be amazing. Where you could like experience everything.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
That's the hotel.
I mean, and this is going back to the Hagrid ride. This is the very first footage and the very first time we're seeing it in motion, and it not being concept art or anything like that. This is something physical now, and it's become a reality. So I'm sure we're going to see more in the upcoming months as it gets closer to the opening date of this ride. When is it? June 19th?
I think so.
Yeah.
Can I give my last disappointment?
Sure.
With that they're actually testing it with non-humans. I was hoping that they would just go for it. Have some confidence in your design engineers. Come on.
That's how Hagrid would do it. He'd be like,
this is the Wizarding World. There's magic involved.
That's how I do it. Hey, show up. If it's going to work, go for it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't trust...
Enjoy your building.
I wouldn't trust my math. Like, I haven't mathed that hard in more than 10 years.
I don't trust roller coasters because I saw Final Destination 3.
Yo.
And that was scary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'd still risk it for this, though. I would have that vision, and then I would be like, there are worse ways to go. You know?
May not happen. It's worth it. No, I am excited I'll be there in July. So this will be open, and I am excited to go on it, and I will let you all know how it is, unless someone beats me there.
Jiang in our patron chat here says, "What would Hagrid do?"
Exactly. Hagrid would go on that ride.
I'm getting my WWHD bracelet, guys. It's becoming
not
real.
The
Yo, I want
best
one.
life advice to go by.
On the inside, it's going to be like, I shouldn't have told you that.
You'd probably tell you somebody you shouldn't be hearing.
Hogwarts Radio patron exclusive coming soon.
There it is.
There we go. All right. Our next bit of news is some topical information because we just had the Oscars. I didn't watch them, so you guys can let me know if you watched them. But one of the Harry Potter directors, Alfonso Cuarón, who directed Prisoner of Azkaban, he won several awards. His film Roma, which is on Netflix, won Best Foreign Language Film, and he won Best Director. So that's pretty cool. Did anyone watch Roma? Because it's been on my list, since it premiered, and I keep not watching it.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched it. I probably won't watch it. But
I watched about the first 40 minutes and wasn't paying attention enough to keep track of what was going on, so I've not gone back and actually rewatched, and I don't know that I will anytime soon.
I will say Alfonso is probably my favorite Harry Potter director.
Oh my
and I know
God.
that's controversial. I know. There was something stylistically, don't get me started on the robes. I know that there are no robes in that entire damn movie, but I loved the style and the darkness that he
Dark
brought.
Tyler.
Yeah, that's me. That's my brand.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I enjoyed his kind of the stamp that he left on the Potterverse, and it's nice to see him doing so well. It's kind of cool to be like, hey, that guy directed a Harry Potter movie. Now he's like a huge Oscar winner.
it's not a stamp, it's a stomp on the Harry Potter
Whatever.
series. But I liked Gravity, which he won an Oscar for as well. I really enjoyed that movie, but Alfonso, I just wish he didn't come anywhere near the series. I mean, of course, it's 15 years after the fact, but still,
Too little, too late, Terrence.
Yeah, I know.
You've done goofed.
Yeah.
All right, our next bit of news, let's go back to the Wizarding World and talk about a dark arts light show that is coming to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at both parks. The Universal Orlando Resort and Universal Studios Hollywood will feature a dark arts light projection experience this year. The show is called Dark Arts at Hogwarts Castle, and it will be a powerful, original, and breathtaking projection experience. Universal has promised a more dramatic and intense experience than any we've seen before. This incredible experience will take place at Universal Studios Hollywood from April 13th to 28th, and then again from May 25th to 27th. The dates for the show at Universal Orlando have yet to be announced, but will take place, quote, later this year. I'm hoping that means July 15th when Gretchen will be there. That's what the implied language is.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Cannot wait. I'm probably going to end up forcing myself to go on April 13th because I'm really just that excited for it. I have seen every single light projection show they've done on Hogwarts so far, and I go in with high expectations, and they are well exceeded every single time.
Now, when I was there for Christmas, I saw the light show at Christmas, and I didn't know what to expect, and I was absolutely blown away. I mean, so I can put my stamp of approval on. They do a good job with these types of things, and like most things at the park, it doesn't seem like they waste time. They if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it well, and I like that a lot. And I mean, if you're going dark arts on the castle, that is something I can be there for.
It's like they made a light show just for me. As somebody with a dark mark tattoo and whose favorite character is Voldemort, I'm super excited to see this, and I just love dark creatures too. So I am very pumped because like Bailey, I've seen all the other ones, and they're cool. Don't get me wrong, but this one sounds right up my Diagon alley.
Oh, Nocturne Alley, more like.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Oh, rewind it. Do it again.
No, it's fine.
Rewind it. Turn that tape back. All right. Well, hopefully we will all get to see it, except Luke. Sorry, Luke. Or Terrence, I guess.
Well,
But-
I do want to ask these light shows on the castle, Bailey. Is it like so? I assume you've seen the Disney ones at the Disney theme parks. Are they kind of like
Yes.
that?
I would say it's similar. It's definitely not as like motion on the castle, like playing the movie clips, but more just like iconography and things moving around on the castle.
Okay.
Next one's kind of a shout out. So we've talked before about these really cool giant wizarding wand display. It's 15 feet tall wands, and they were in London and were created to support J.K. Rowling's Lumos Foundation. So now the new news about it is that you have the chance to vote for the next location of this display. So if you are in the United Kingdom or Ireland, you have the chance to have it come to your town. Anyone can vote, though. So if you're curious and want to pick the next location, feel free. You can go to the website and vote for the town or city you'd like to see host the installation. This will narrow the choices down to 8 finalists, which Warner Brothers will announce on March 18th. So you have limited time to vote. But who knows when it will come? The city or town that wins will host the installation in the lead up to the release of the third Fantastic Beasts film. Since we don't know when that is, we don't know when this will take place. But for some reason, they've only given us 3 weeks to narrow it down to 8 finalists. So if you are curious, we will put the link for that vote into the show notes, and then you can go pick the United Kingdom or Ireland city or town to host these super cool ones.
Should we start like a rally cry for a certain town? Just put our
pick?
weight behind a certain town, maybe like Slough or Manchester. Just pick it. Leicester, Leicester.
A town with less than 500 people.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Where's the petition to get it to come to America?
No, don't be ridiculous.
Well, if you have a certain stake in a city or town that is on the list, please tweet at us, and then we'll retweet you, and then we'll have everyone vote for your town at Hogwarts Radio. There you go. We have a little update on Wizards Unite. Warner Brothers executive Kevin Tsuchihara. Nope, I'm not saying that.
Sujihara.
Right. Kevin Sujihara.
Sujihara.
Revealed that the game will be out summer 2019, so we can expect it sometime in the next couple months. Are you guys stoked?
I am so excited.
Yep, super pumped. I upgraded my phone just so I could get, so I have enough space to actually play it.
That sounds like priorities. I am extremely excited for this game.
Can I say that I'm extremely excited that Drinks and Nose podcast will be almost wrapped up right when this is coming out, so I can actually have time to enjoy the game.
That's actually true. Yeah,
It seems perfect. So I am getting more excited knowing that there's an actual time frame that I can even enjoy it.
Luke, are you going to play this one? Because we all know that you didn't play Hogwarts Mystery.
I sure tried. I did try.
You got as far as the Devil's Snare. That was it.
Did you
I did
ever
get
finish
past that.
chapter 1 or year 1?
Oh, no. I mean, no.
Is
No.
it?
Still year 1 too.
Yeah, I'm not going to bash on the game. I think they did a good job with what they were doing, but it's not my style of game at all. So I was not hooked. I'm not a touch on the game for 10 minutes every single day kind of guy. I'm more of a sit down, play it for the time that I actually have available for as much as I'd like to and not get kicked out of the game. That's just me. I respect people that like to the touch and go games. It's not me. This game, if it's a lot like Pokemon Go or even in that style where you have a lot more flexibility and freedom in the game, I'm all for it. I like the idea a lot.
If this is in fact capturing Fantastic Beasts, we could do Hogwarts Radio. Well, hunt is the wrong word for it. Obviously, you're not going to hunt the beast, but you could do Hogwarts Radio hunts or Hogwarts Radio hangouts, and all of our
We'll
listeners
workshop
can
the
go.
title.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm really excited about. It's not just Beast related; it's magical incidents all over. So I think that's one of the coolest things about this is you're called to action to help protect the secrecy of the wizarding world because there's a stray broom or some kind of other magical thing has happened, and I'm really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. It seems like there's consequences. It's not just there's a thing out there that just about anyone's gonna be able to do. It's kind of like, well, if you're in the area, you're almost obligated we'll see how it really plays out, but it has a lot more flexibility to what they can do as opposed to just going out and just catching things for your own selfish sake.
Yeah, there's like a sense of
That
urgency.
has
I
ramifications.
feel like it's going to be putting
Yes.
you almost in like the shoes of an Auror,
Yeah.
and the the fate of the wizarding world is at your hands.
You have a social wizarding obligation to help out.
I like that it's kind of tapping into like a little bit of like obscure Potter lore, where like sure there are governing agencies that like help protect the wizarding world and the secrecy around it, but it's really the responsibility of every witch, wizard, and magical person to help do that too. It's like that family when that dragon came down and attacked all those beachgoers, and then they had to like perform all these memory charms and do all this stuff and protect these muggles. It kind of is tapping into that, and that's what I'm excited about.
Super cool. Well, I can't wait till this summer.
Me either. But that, for now, is it for the news.
So now that Gretchen is done with the news, we kind of kicked her out of the studio. She did have to go, but that's okay. We've got a couple of announcements before we get to the rest of today's show. Now, this past week, we released our 5th Time Turner Thursday. So Time Turner Thursdays, for those of you that don't know, it's a special feature of our show that revisits some of our more popular episodes over the past 11 years now, we can say. This past week, we released episode 128, and that was a lot of fun. Sometimes whenever you get to doing the show, it's just the weeks kind of, they flow by. So you get in a rhythm, and you don't quite get to appreciate your older work. So it was fun to go in and listen to like the top news of what we were talking about back in 2013 at this point. April 6, 2013 was this particular episode. And there was a lot of stuff happening. So it's on our feed. So if you're subscribed to Hogwarts Radio, you're going to automatically get it once every other week. So just be sure to check it out. It's a lot of fun. Second announcement, and last announcement of the week. The newest installment of Hogshead Radio is now available for patrons. It's always a lot of fun to record. And editing is a different challenge because of all the different effects that I have to mix into it. But it is a lot of fun to do. So go ahead and check that out over on patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio. It is for a $5 and up patrons. So if you're a $5 and up patron, you get access to Hogshead Radio episodes. Very cool
really
stuff.
Sad that I missed it this past week, but I did get my food Uber sent to me from Aberforth, and he sent me my growler all filled as usual. He's great. Aberforth is the best.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He started that delivery service a few months ago.
Yeah.
With the just app. It's an app. It's called the
Hogs Headed Your Way.
Hogs Headed Your Way. Yeah, exactly.
They have goat delivery boys.
Shows up on the back of a goat. No, it was weird. I didn't know what to expect, but you tip the goat, and it's just good. They cut your grass for you too. It's a great service.
I am gonna have to try that out sometime.
Yeah, Hogs Headed Your Way. Look for it in the Apple Store.
The grass is the tip for the goat.
That is, that's true. I found that out because they just ate the dollars that I handed them. So you live and you learn.
Aberforth is gonna be mad. All right, guys. Well, let's get into a couple of questions that we have this week. First one is, why is potions class so darn hard for some individuals? I mean, really, isn't it just like cooking? All you have to do is just follow the ingredients, follow the instructions. It doesn't seem too hard.
Have you taken chemistry?
Well, you're not.
It's not just a recipe. There's procedures.
It's less like cooking and more like baking, if you want to make that analogy. Or things have to be very precise.
Cooking.
And if you don't do it right, you're going to get something entirely different.
Flat cookies that the dog eats.
Oh, God.
Because you mixed it too vigorously. It's all about
Darn it, Poe.
all the touch. Yeah, Poe. Ugh.
But I really don't understand it, and I guess because I've never had to make a potion myself, but sure, there is chemistry involved, but you have the ingredients in front of you. So if it's asking for like 3 bay leaves or something like that, you throw 3 bay leaves and you follow the instructions, like get the juice out of the the little seed or something that's there and mix that in and all this other stuff. I mean, I know it has to do with timing and everything like that, but I just don't understand like why Harry, until book 6, has such a difficult time with this.
To kind of like continue your food analogy for a sec, I think it's a lot like the difference between cooking and baking. I can cook, but I can't bake. There's just something about it that there's an exact science to it. And isn't that how the analogy goes? Cooking is an art, but baking is a science. Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot like charms and potions. Harry's great, at charms and defense against the dark arts and all that stuff, because there's kind of like an art to it. You're kind of, it's like jazz. You're, kind of, you can throw it a little bit here, do a Expelliarmus there, but then potions, it's like you mess up one thing and you're done.
I feel like it's almost the opposite in that analogy that you use, and maybe I'm just viewing it wrong, but I feel like it's the art that's tough of it. It takes the feel of it to be a good baker, to be a good potion maker, and that's even what like Slughorn kind of recognized in Harry, aka Half-Blood Prince. He's like, wow, you really have a certain touch for this, just like your mother did. It's not by the book, which is what the science decided would it be. It'd be follow the procedure. It'd be, which, I mean, yeah, it's a subtle science. It's a nuance thing. It's so I think it's more of an art than it is a following the procedure. And I think it works in either way, but that's my semantic corner for the episode.
Doesn't Snape refer to it as an exact art of potion making?
Yep.
Yeah.
He does.
For something so black and white, like I guess I'm failing to understand the art piece to it. And I can see more artistic interpretation in like, doing something with the actual one, like in charms and all that other stuff. I mean, granted, yeah, sometimes you have to use your wand, like turn it counterclockwise 3 times, mutter this spell or something like that. But to me, it's just so like you put these exact ingredients, you follow these exact instructions, and you get the exact effect of this potion. And if you mess up along the way, you're not going to get that exact effect. So there's no gray area. There's no area for interpretation for a good potion. It's either you did it or you didn't.
So that works. Oh, Bailey, go for it. Sorry.
I mean, clearly there's some areas for interpretation. Otherwise, all of the notes that the Half-Blood Prince has in his book wouldn't be necessary. If you crush the beet or the what is it? Something you crush and you get better juice out of it.
Yeah, on the side of the blade as opposed to slicing it.
Yeah, as opposed to slicing it, you'll be able to get the juice out better. So there's clearly different ways of doing it that make for a better potion.
Yeah, and so what I was going to get to, it's not a binary thing. There are acceptable versions of the potions. All of these failed potions we see from, we'll just say Neville throughout the years, they're on the way, but it's not fundamentally completely something different, and sometimes that happens. There's, if you do this wrong, it's going to turn into a poison instead, but it's not, oh, wow, this is just binary. This is Amortentia or it's not. But I mean, the way it leads you to believe is there's better versions of it. There's more concentrated versions of that. And that's where the art comes into it. You can follow the rules and follow the instructions, but that still doesn't make it the best possible. It's those things that you figure out over time by doing it over and over again that help you realize there are better ways of doing it that add to it in the grand scheme.
Yeah, you can make a chocolate cake, or you can make a chocolate lava cake.
Yum. Stop.
Somebody went to Chili's. Gee, and I thought this was going to be an easy question. Well, I guess not. Okay, so potions is open for interpretation. At least how you get to achieve the desired result. Ways that you can achieve that end game.
And you had mentioned the way Snape really initially approaches the subject in chapter 8 of book 1. He says this is a subtle science and an exact, there is areas of flux, or he would have said it backwards and just said, this is an exact science. This is what it is. And if it's that way, then it is. but there's clearly gray areas because of the way it's described to us. And we see that throughout the 6 years of school that we have, I think, fairly consistently.
All right. Well, that wraps up that question. Second question. I hope people really enjoy this one, and I'm sure they will. What kind of stuff do you think Voldemort and Quirrell would talk about? Since Voldemort lived on the back of his head for like a year, would Quirrell just like at the end of the day, like take off his turban, go home, be like, complain about the kids, and, would he just like talk to Voldemort? I actually don't know. And this is legitimate. It's like, well, he was a part of him. Like they were dependent upon each other. More so Voldemort dependent on Quirrell.
I foresee some funny conversations happening, but I think that the root of most of it would just be Voldemort telling Quirrell how worthless he is and making Quirrell really feels like he is nothing without Voldemort and what he's doing for him.
It's kind of that manipulation, that straight manipulation.
Yeah.
Emotional abuse and stuff like that.
I think it would also lead to some super awkward moments, like when Quirrell's pooping.
Man, there's a nice wall.
Can you hurry up? I'm tired of staring at this wall.
Why does it say this way to Ministry of Magic?
90% of the time, he's just looking at the inside of a cloth turban. So, I mean, I'd say the bathroom wall was probably a step up from there, right? If he even, I don't know.
Well, I've always wondered, like, in my head, I've always thought Voldemort was always in this, like, stasis-like condition. Like, he's not awake. He's not there. He's just trying to save as much energy as possible to, like, even be alive. And even when, Voldemort's like, let me speak to him, and Quirrell goes, Master, you are not strong enough. And he's like, I have strength enough for this. I always thought he was just, like, floating there, just kind of quiet, not conscious until he
hibernating.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. That's how I've always thought he was underneath there.
Yeah, unless you actively think about him every time you see Quirrell, and you're like, "What's Quirrell up to?" And you actively think about, okay, well, what's Voldemort's face doing at this moment? Like, it's really easy to just buzz past and be like, "Oh, it's fine. He was just there, and it was cool." But if you actually think of like the nuances of, whenever Snape and Quirrell meet out in the woods, like Voldemort was there hearing all that conversation. Like, that's something that Snape would have had to have answered for later on when he goes back to Voldemort, right? Like, because he would have that knowledge. Like, it's just, it's very interesting.
Do you think Voldemort had to? Do you think Quirrell had to sleep on his stomach?
This is a really, really good question, and I know that Bailey has seen it. I don't know if Tyler has seen
Many times.
A Harry Potter musical.
All three.
I trusted that was the case.
One of them live.
Terrence has not seen it, and I think it gets into really, I'll use the word again, nuances and intricacies of this very complicated relationship very, very well. I'll leave it at that.
There it is. I do wonder if when the Weasley twins bewitched snowballs to bounce off of Quirrell's turban.
Oh my God, that was great.
I wonder if Voldemort was like, he's like, who did that? So I can take note later and get back at one of them.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
The Weasley
so
twins?
the other one has to live with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine him going, "Hey, who did that? Who threw snowballs at me?"
Get off my lawns, you stinking kids! Hey,
And Quirrell being like, dude, shut up. You're going to give us away.
Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Dad.
Gosh.
Dad.
Oh my goodness. The stuff that flows through our minds. Let's get into something a little bit deeper here. And I found this on this theory on Reddit from user Gumbold Tikatalvi. And they stated the relation between Aragog and the Basilisk. And in their post, they say, I was just listening to the audiobook of The Chamber of Secrets when Harry and Ron ask Aragog about the monster in the chamber. He states that spiders do not speak of it and refuse to call it by its name. It was the first time I noticed a resemblance to most wizards who refuse to call Voldemort by his name. Maybe this is too obvious, but now I see the relation between the spiders and the basilisk as the reflected relation between Voldemort and those who are afraid of him, just in the world of magical creatures. The difference still seems to be that basilisks are the natural enemy of the spiders, while the relation between Voldemort and his enemies is political and ideological. I still don't know what to do with this resemblance, but it feels like an interesting discovery. Maybe somebody else has thoughts on this. So what do you guys think?
I think it's a very apt comparison that they're making. I was very noisily, apparently, looking up Acromantula and Basilisk in Fantastic Beasts, the original paperback version that all the money went to Lumos Foundation, as far as I know. And say that again.
It went to Comic Relief.
Oh, that's right. That is yep. That was before Lumos was started. Is that right? Yeah, and it definitely touches on the, I guess, combative nature between those. It always stood out as odd to me that it was like, oh, the Acromantula is, above all else, that is our mortal enemy. We don't speak its name. That was a little bit on the nose for me of like, really? I mean, you're a spider, it's a snake. Like, can't you just be cool? And I don't know. That was always a little bit odd to me. Like the two very specific things that beasts that came up in that book were mortal enemies. I don't know. Is that just me?
Well, so if somebody can refresh my memory, why do spiders flee the basilisk? Like, I've never seen a spider really run away from anything.
That I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's a little on the nose for, hey, we just need to make the basilisk even more frightening. So we take this other monstrous creature that you would normally be afraid of and make you sympathetic towards it so that it makes the basilisk more threatening when we get there, because we don't even know what that is at the time. We think that Hagrid's monster, which turns out to be Aragog, is the terror that the heir of Slytherin is using, and it's just meant to kind of bring it up to the fact that, wow, if this really, really scary creature is afraid of this other thing so much that it won't say its name, that it must be really, really scary. And I just feel like it didn't get that much different. It's just kind of a different style of scary, if that makes it any better.
Yeah, because it does feel like there's a piece of mythology in their rivalry that's missing, which I've always liked the Acromantula Basilisk like feud, just because they're both like dark creatures. We don't know if centaurs like are afraid of basilisks, but I imagine they would be, because who wouldn't be? But the fact that I could picture little Aragog running around, frantically being scared of the basilisk coming out and getting him. I liked that. But yeah, there definitely seems to be a little bit of canonical plot that's missing there.
And maybe we just need to interview the basilisk. We can't now. Thanks, Harry. But, it could legitimately just be Aragog himself, and all of the Acromantula that we meet are direct descendants from him. So it could just be Aragog grew up in proximity to in the castle, right? He was born in the castle when the basilisk was around, so he would have been hearing these stories. And so that's terrifying. So his personal vendetta becomes the thing that translates to the rest of his spider brood, and we only have Aragog's perspective on it. So
now I'm just picturing a baby Aragog like complaining to Hagrid, "There's a big scary snake in the dungeons."
And I'm getting blamed for it.
Will you save me?
Cute.
It's all right, there. I'll keep you in this box.
It does make me wonder, though, because obviously Acromantulas have existed before Aragog, since they're included in Fantastic Beasts, right? Well, we don't know what edition this is, but it does make me wonder, like, how like if they really have been that afraid. And I know that it lists in the basilisk section, spiders flee before it. I wonder, like, how they observed that to begin with. Like, in what time period would they have found acromantulas or even spiders running from a basilisk if this is the only known basilisk that's existed for so long?
And that's a fair question to ask, because the only other basilisk that we know of is the one that Herpo the Fowl, the very first basilisk from what we know in this universe, to have ever hatched. So that might be where we learn the most about basilisks, is just from him and his observations. Because if he's experimenting, I mean, he has to be recording his findings somewhere. So maybe there's some old
true.
wizard text or something like that.
I feel like a movie dedicated to the creation of a basilisk and all of the failed attempts would be hilarious.
Even more fantastic beasts and how to not make them. I
tried to make a basilisk when I was a kid.
Oh, I mean, can we try it again this summer?
I took an egg from my refrigerator and then a frog, and then like we used to have little frogs running around. It obviously didn't work, and shout out to my mom and my niece who I know are listening right now. Sorry, Mom, I did do that. So anyway,
I only tried to kill everyone.
Now, I do find it interesting that in the actual original Fantastic Beasts, it doesn't mention anything about spiders in the Basilisk chapter. Just from the actual text of Book 2, the script in Hermione's hand, it says that. So clearly that description of a basilisk was not taken from Newt Scamander's book of any edition that I know of, unless I'm just missing it because I'm also trying to talk. But I think my favorite thing in the Acromantula section is, I'll show it to you on screen real quick. There's a big scratch out right there, and it basically is one of Harry's or Ron's handwritten notes, and it says, rumors that a colony of Acromantula has been established in Scotland are unconfirmed, and unconfirmed is scratched out. It says, confirmed by Harry Potter and Ron Weasley.
Nice.
so cute. Wow, I'm surprised that it's not in there.
Wow.
Let me check another edition. I'll be back.
Well, that's a very interesting thought to think about. While Luke is checking on that, we're actually going to move on to our next question, and that is the fact that Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw never produced any Death Eaters, if we look back at the series. And I am kind of perplexed by this. Like, why is this?
Because they're too smart and too nice. It's not that difficult.
I don't know. I really don't have any thoughts on this. I genuinely want to know why. Like, why didn't J.K. Rowling make a Death Eater, a Ravenclaw, or a Hufflepuff? I mean, it would just something that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I really tried to give this a lot of thought as to like why, and I just kept coming back to like this circular reasoning of, well, if they had these ideals, or if their family had these ideals in their past, maybe they would have been put in Slytherin, so they wouldn't have been put in Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw, so that way they wouldn't have, and it just became this giant circular mess that I could not pull myself out of. It just ended up being too nice and too smart.
I don't know if I'm not against John. I don't know if I like that thought, because I like very much to follow, just because you're in a certain house, completely a certain way. I mean, I try to be very house equality, house platform of, I respect. I think there are very positive traits that come from all houses and all have a part to play. It is curious that not a single Ravenclaw would see this as an opportune way to gain power. I mean, they would know, right? They're the smart ones. And I think it really just comes down to plot and narrative more than convenience, more than anything. And rather than muddy the waters, it's just a lot easier to keep bashing on the crappy house as opposed to everything else, which I don't like, because there are good Slytherins out there, and I'm looking right at one right now.
Thanks, buddy.
But see, I really don't. I don't buy that. You know, J.K. Rowling knew what she was doing whenever she wrote these books, and I refuse to believe that a Hufflepuff and a Ravenclaw are just too nice and too smart to ever become a Death Eater. That's just like saying, yeah, you know, everybody else that was in Slytherin and Gryffindor was too dumb and too mean. It's just like she knew what she was doing and wanted to keep these houses as pure as she could for whatever reason, and it just bothers me that she did that.
I think that's my point. It's kind of a plot convenience that it doesn't branch out.
Yeah.
Just to keep it simple on the story side of it, which I agree. It should be more complex and complicated because I don't know, and maybe I read too much A Song of Ice and Fire that even your fan favorite good characters have shades of gray. We need more gray characters in Harry Potter. It's not just, oh, you're in Slytherin and that means you're a bad person. Like, no, there are good people that do bad things for certain reasons, which I think Fantastic Beasts is getting into. If we just talk about Queenie in that regards, she has good motivations and she's making potentially bad choices. That doesn't make her a bad person. So there should be some followers in the Death Eater Order that are kind of brought into it either through social cachet or through their own means and not necessarily because they are just the worst humans that have ever lived. So I think there needs to be more gray, and I'm a little bit sad now that there's not. We need more confusing characters, if you will.
Absolutely. Can we wonder this for a second? Which house of the two would have the most Death Eaters?
Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, Hundo B.
I would too. Yeah.
I'm there with you, Tyler. I'm with you.
All right. Well, of course, we would love to hear your thoughts on anything that we've discussed. Again, send us an email, staff@hogwartsradio.com. We'll be happy to read your thoughts on the show. It's time now for Avada Kedavra, Amortentia Imperio, the Wizarding World's version of Screw, Marry, Kill. All right, the first one I'm going to go ahead and give to Luke. Luke, your three are Rita Skeeter, Mrs. Fig, and Bathilda Bagshot.
Easy.
Oh.
Might be the easiest one
Well,
I've
then
had.
I need to give you my original creatures then.
No, I like it, and I have fantastic reasons why. Kill Rita Skeeter, just because she's literally the worst, the defamation and awful person that she is.
Okay.
I'm okay without it. I'm going to go ahead and Amortentia Bathilda Bagshot because historian, I mean, come on. I mean, live with that every single day? Yeah. Sign me up. Mrs. Fig? Yeah. Sure, why not? Imperio. Put her to good work, Muggle style. I like it. Squib style, I mean.
What would you do? Just like have her spy on you or spy for you or something?
I was going to make a comment about getting rid of her cats, but I don't want people to start hating me because I don't like cats much. So I'm going to go ahead and say I would have her bake for me because I believe in her abilities to bake.
I see. Okie dokie. We'll go with that. All right, so Bailey, you're going to give to Tyler this week.
Alrighty, Tyler, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Okay, I have for you Nearly Headless Nick, the Bloody Baron, the Fat Friar.
Oh, okay. Ooh, these are good.
Getting ghosty.
So you said Nearly Headless Nick, the Bloody Baron, and the Fat Friar, right?
Yes.
Oh God. Which one is the kiss in this? Is that Amortentia?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the Mary is Imperio?
That would be
It's what you would
Amortentia.
want them to do for you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I would Avada Kedavra, the Fat Friar, because he's probably my least favorite of the house ghosts. I'm sorry. No,
the
hate,
least
man.
developed.
Yeah, like he's so boring. Although I would love to know more about his story. We got a little bit on Pottermore. I liked it. I would Amortentia, the Bloody Baron, just because he seems like such a hopeless romantic, and I love that. And if he had to kill me, fine, so be it. And then Imperio Nearly Headless Nick, just because I think he kind of runs his clique with the other house ghosts. So yeah, Amortentia, the Bloody Baron, and Imperio Nearly Headless Nick.
Nice.
I really like that you went to the actual core of who we found out that the Bloody Baron actually is, and not the ghost stories that we hear about him for all 7 books leading up to it. Good on you.
Thanks. You know me.
Way to look past the exterior.
You hopeless romantic.
He's gay.
He's Bay. All right, Luke,
You just like his chains. You just like his chains.
I'm not going to argue with that there. Heyo.
Hey, no judgment. No judgment. That's fine. All right, Terrence, are you ready? I have 3 for you.
Okay.
All right, Ludo Bagman, Barty Crouch and Barty Crouch Jr.
God bless you, Luke. Okay.
I'm very much in book 4 right now.
I can tell. So I would Amortentia, Barty Crouch Jr., some BCJ, because I love a little Crouch Jr.
That's the third.
Yeah, sure. I think he's a very talented wizard, and I'm sure I could find, like a good use for him. So I'm sure that he would
He just wants to fit in.
I'm sure he would be a very gentle individual if he calms down. I would Imperio Barty Crouch Sr. and have him run all of my dirty work at the ministry.
Dirty deeds.
Deeds done.
Crouch cheap.
It's a great slogan.
Yep.
And then, of course, I would have to Avada Kedavra Ludo Bagman. I really didn't find a use for him at all. He was just one of those characters that I don't know. I really didn't like. He didn't click with
your
me.
illegal gambling schemes if that was something you wanted to get into.
Well,
I was gonna say
yes, but I would rather be like knee deep in the ministry with BC Barty Crouch.
BCS.
There we go.
Senor.
Senor.
Barty Crouch. Senor. Biblioteca.
It's the Barty Crouch Senor.
Okay, all right, Bailey, you ready?
I guess so.
Right. I'm gonna stick with my vegan roots, and go with plants. Devil Snare, Whomping Willow, or Mandrake.
I love this. This is so great. This is like the
my
best one ever.
goodness. Okay, Devil Snare, Whomping Willow, and Mandrake. I'm going to Avada Kedavra the Mandrake because it's really loud and noisy and I don't want to listen to it.
Fair.
Ain't nobody
I'm
got time for that.
No. And the Devil Snare, I feel like it could give a really good snuggle, so I'm gonna Amortentia the Devil Snare.
Best snuggle. Snuggle you to death.
And I guess that means I'm Imperioing the Whomping Willow to... What am I gonna have it do? Just like pick on the students as they walk by.
Or a very aggressive snuggle.
I love a good snuggle.
Who doesn't love a good beating snuggle?
This apparently he didn't like. Apparently the Fort Anglia didn't like the way the Whomping Willow snuggled. Poor thing.
Hey-o.
You gotta have a safe word. There
it is. There it is. No kink shaming here.
You do you. Be proud of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The safety word is beep beep.
Otherwise, you're going to break your wand.
Oh my god.
Wand safety is paramount.
I can imagine. Like the Roadrunner going meep meep.
Thanks, I hate it.
Oh my god. And that, folks, is how we play Avada Kedavra Amortentia Imperia. We would love to play along with you. If you have suggestions for any of the hosts, please send us a tweet, an email, message on Facebook. Any way you guys can get a hold of us, and we'll gladly play your options. So this week's final thought comes from a user called Penny Marbles. And it was a topic that I had run across while surfing for discussion topics for this week's episode. And I did want to go ahead and just read this. So Penny Marbles posed a question. It said, can we just take a moment to appreciate how these books are so many people's anti-drug? And in the body of this discussion, this person put, in very beginning of 2019, I've had to leave my home to help my mom. Taken on renovating her house best I can. Found out a teen family member has been severely abused and is suicidal. Took her in and started the process of becoming her guardian. Trying to help her and deal with her troubles. Honestly, I don't even recognize my life anymore. I've always been a huge Harry Potter fanatic and listened to the books monthly. However, I haven't really had the chance to enjoy them lately. This afternoon, I drove to an empty parking lot and put on POA. It was just immediate calm for me. I felt like I went somewhere safe in my brain or something. With everything so hard right now, I'm really happy and thankful I have Harry Potter to turn to. I know there's possibly a ton of these people out there that also use the books too. Wish we could all give J.K. Rowling a big ol' hug just for this. And so this in particular got me thinking, yeah, we love these books. We love the story, but I never really thought of, using it as kind of a drug to calm down. Put on the books, get lost in the story for a few minutes, start to remember those nostalgic feelings and all that other stuff. But it's very interesting because I never thought of using it kind of as a meditation technique.
I think I don't have experience like this, so I can't speak to exactly the situation, but I think something that you mentioned, Terrence, is very, very fitting. It's very much, when I am going through the book series, it very much does take me back to a sentimental time frame of when I first read this, when I was 9, 10, 11, when the books were coming out. And that's such a special formative time that when, 20 years later now, you have legit real world experience that's hard to get through. It's nice to have that escape into familiarity and escape into a world that you love and has a good motivation behind it. And I think that's a really special thing that this fandom is able to do and provide for everyone that's involved, because the whole nature of the story is, hey, this is supposed to be an inclusive world. And that's one of the major themes of the stories, is no matter what your background is, who your family is, there's still people out there that are going to support you and be with you, even when things, even when the night is darkest and full of terriers. There are good people around you. And I didn't mean to make light of that, but it's such a welcoming community and such a very familiar and comfortable story that it's a nice place to get back to. So I can totally respect that sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, Hogwarts really is always there to welcome you home. And I speak from personal experience that Harry Potter got me through some seriously tough and hard, challenging times in high school. And I think it's that way for a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. They, I kind of went through this thing. In college, I became so obsessed with reading Harry Potter that I actually started skipping class and everything. And I got my total reading for the entire book series up to 137 times straight through. And that at that point, Harry Potter was like a drug, like an addicting drug. And when I was able to actually overcome that, I now go back and it's what calms me. That's what I find to be the most peaceful, is when I'm actually so stressed at work, or something's going wrong with friends. What do I need? I just need to escape for a second, and nothing does that better than Harry Potter.
And see, it's just not even the fandom. We didn't even talk about the fandom or mention the fandom in this as being kind of the way that you can interact with others and share the same experiences. No, these are all due to the books themselves. The words on those pages speak to everybody differently, and they certainly help us through the darkest of times. But as Dumbledore says, happiness can be found in the darkness of times when one remembers to turn on the light. And with that, we'll go ahead and leave you this week, but don't worry, we'll be back next week with another fun-filled episode of Hogwarts Radio. We'd like to thank everybody for listening and tuning in. Once again, I'm Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Luke Hogan.
And I'm Tyler Starr.
And we'll see you next week for episode 237. Bye-bye.
That was bloody brilliant.
Codswallop.